What's up guys, and welcome back to another video. So today I saw the richest guy in my hometown driving around in his Lamborghini Aventador, which is a V12 Italian sports car that is just gorgeous. However, that got me thinking because he's only like 30 years old and he looks like he could just be my older brother. So how can you be financially free in just 10 years? Because I'm going on my 20th birthday pretty soon and he's only 30 and he's, again, driving around in a Lamborghini Aventador.
Bought this new Lamborghini here.
Maybe not Lamborghini Aventador kind of money, but you're not going to worry about your financial future like your peers around you. If you're investing in things like rental properties, stocks and index funds, cryptos, alternative assets, you might be able to get there a little bit quicker than you actually anticipated. Now, if you're 30 or 30 and above, all these things will apply to you. It's just you're just in a different time, and that's perfectly fine too. Everyone has their own path and walk in life, and that doesn't mean that if you're 30 today, you can't reach financial freedom by 40, and if you're 40, 50, 50 to 60. It doesn't really matter, and all these can apply to you. However, this is geared to the younger generation because you need to make the most out of your 20s to really build up a great foundation to live life in your 30s, 40s, and 50s, where you can make some big baller moves, and you won't have to worry about any of the lower or middle class worries that everyone really goes through in today's modern society. The richest guy did talk to me today, and he gave me one very important secret that I want to pass on to you guys. That is that tapping the like button will be zero cost, and it will make you guys so much happier. As a gift for liking and of course commenting for the YouTube algorithms, here is a funny cat video. Now let's get on to it and get serious. Number one is invest everything immediately. And the reason why is because time is money, and you've heard that 100 million times, but what does it really mean? Well, it all has to go back down to the almighty compound interest, where $1 today is going to be worth so many dollars in the future. And there's really three variables to this. That's how much money you have, the interest rate, and the time you have to let the money grow. And of course, the more you manipulate them, you will have different changes. The more money you start out with, the higher interest rate, and the more time you have to let the money grow, the more money you will have. For every $1 that you have on your 20th birthday at a 7% interest rate, which is actually pretty modest, by the time of retirement, every single dollar should be worth $21, or 21 times more than you originally had. But if you wait just 10 years and started investing at your 30th birthday, every dollar is now worth only $10.68, which is still 10 times as much as you would originally have, but again, you are missing out on almost more than double. Therefore, every single dollar that you have at 20 years old is actually worth double the amount of money that you would have at 30 years old. When that hit me, it hit me like a brick wall, and I knew the race was on. I invested every single dime as soon as I could, knowing that every single dime that I put in would be worth about 21 times more than I'm actually putting it in worth. This is a massive opportunity, and literally time is eating away at you. It's definitely an opportunity in where you want to go in your life because, again, 21 times as much as you put in it. So if you have a $100 pair of shoes, the $100 pair of shoes is worth $2,100 in the future. Yes, $2,100 for a $100 pair of shoes. It's just in future money. Or every single time that you go out to Starbucks and buy a $5 coffee, that $5 coffee is worth $105 of future money. Imagine that. Imagine that! Do not waste any of your time, because that is the one thing that you can never get no matter how much you want it, because you can change how much money you have, and you can actually change the interest rate that your investments will grow, but you will never be able to change the time that you have to grow them. To do this, this would be very advantageous to go through a Roth IRA, which is a retirement account that has a massive tax advantage to it. It's a brokerage account where you can withdraw after 59 and a half with paying zero taxes on it. Which, let's say taxes are 25%, which is modest, and you have $1 million saved up in that, that's literally like you're paying away $250,000, or the equivalent to buying a new Lamborghini. So you are literally saving yourself a Lamborghini just from setting up a brokerage as a Roth IRA, rather than a traditional brokerage account. This is good for multiple reasons. Since you are setting this up at a young age, you probably don't have that high of an income, so any tax that you will have to pay to put it in is probably at a very reduced rate than you will be paying out in the future. And as we stated earlier, every dollar now is worth $21 in future money, so you will not have to pay any taxes on that, and you will get all $21. And again, if you're young, all the decades that you have to compound, well, any fees that you would actually have to put in or upfront taxes are very negligible to the amount that you will eventually have at retirement. Moving on to the next segment is how much money can you actually contribute to this, and a lot of people say to save 10% of your income. However, I'm going to go against the grain on this one and basically bark back at all these financial professionals because I don't believe that saving 10% will bring you to where you want to go. For all those financial advisors out there, well, I'm not one of them, and I know you're right now raging and it's like,
Comment, this channel sucks.
but you gotta hear me out on this one. But if you invest 10% of your income starting at 20 years old, well, it'll take you 51 years for your investments to then take over what you would be actually earning at your earned income job. So therefore, your investments will be paying the exact same amount as you're earning, so basically you don't have to work. 10% is an alright start, and it's at least better than zero. However, if you want to enjoy life, being financially free at a young age where you can actually enjoy it, well, you're going to have to make a little bit more sacrifices up front so you can enjoy it more on the back end. Saving money, again, at a younger age is worth a lot more than saving money at an older age, and it's technically a lot simpler because at a younger age, you are a little bit more flexible, you can live in a little bit less of a desirable place, you don't have a family to feed and things like that, so you can pinch away those pennies and make a lot of gains on the long term. Which segues me into my next point, live like you are broke. No one expects anything of you anyways because you're super young. A lot of 20-year-olds have a beat up car, they might be still living with their parents, and they have nothing really desirable. There is zero societal pressure on you because what 20-year-old has a fully paid off house, a fully paid off car, and is just financially set? Well, there are a couple, but not many. But try being 40 and not having a nice car, a nice house, and living like you're cheap. Well, society just wants to kill you. It's like a get out of free jail card where you can stash away as much money as you can, live like you're broke, and no one expects any more from you. And again, every single dollar that you put away now is going to be worth so much more in the future, so you might as well wait a little bit and just cash in when it's worth the most. But what kind of investments will give me this return? And I want specifics because everyone on here is just like, oh, just invest. Well, you can invest in index funds, something like VOO, VOO, which tracks the S&P 500, or QQQ, which tracks the NASDAQ. These are index funds, which are basically a big mixing pot of a ton of different companies, and over time, they have performed very well. It's the easiest way to start investing, and it's almost open to everybody. If you just have a little bit of internet access, go on, start a Roth IRA because there is massive advantages to it, and then start buying. But here is the very, very complex part where a lot of people just start going astray, and I'm going to try to break it down as simple as possible. And if I do, I'd really like your support because it can make you millions. Okay, you ready? Buy and hold. Just buy and hold. That's it. Just hold. If the market goes up, buy and hold. If the market goes down, you buy and you hold. It's not very complex. However, buying and holding is by far the best strategy, and data actually backs me up on this. Take it from the most successful investor of all time, Warren Buffett. He says that people should just buy and hold in low-cost ETFs and index funds like what I just said. Do not panic when it drops, and eventually over the decades that you should be investing in, it will drop quite substantially, but you know what you do? It's just like a flash sale. You buy more and you hold. As you can see, I'm pretty passionate about this, which segues me into a different asset class that you can also invest in, which will take care of two birds with one stone. This is called house hacking and buying into a rental property where you buy a house, you live on one side, you rent out the other, and the other people actually pay for the mortgage, and you basically live for free. Then after a couple of years, if you want to move out, you start renting the place that you already lived in, and then it's just a very sustainable rental property that pays you every single month. Once you move out, just rent the place that you were staying in and double your cash flow. There are three ways that you can make money on rental properties, and that is why real estate makes the most millionaires in the world. Well, one is the rent that you actually collect every single month, which is cash flow, the appreciation on the property itself, and all the massive tax benefits that can save you thousands of dollars every single year from owning the property. I'm not going to dive into all that today because that is a lot for another video. However, just know that it is very, very incentivizing. This is really no surprise to a lot of people because to be wealthy in your 30s, you probably have to start a business in your 20s that starts booming. With great opportunities through the internet and with a computer, it basically gives the opportunity to any entrepreneur out there who wants to start a business and doesn't have a lot of cash. You can start a very simple business with just $1,000, and it it can go global with the power of the internet. 30 years ago, you would have to buy inventory, rent out a shop space, start marketing, and the marketing was so much more expensive than online marketing today. Then hire people, operate everything, and then pray to God that you could pay rent and utilities. You don't have to have a store anymore. You don't necessarily even have to have inventory because you can buy right after you actually get the order. You don't need any employees necessarily, and the startup costs are very, very low. Plus, a website works 24/7 where a storefront has to close eventually. From anywhere in the world, there are thousands of ways that you can monetize your computer. Best way to make a lot of money in your 20s is to start a business, and ideally online. Usually a business will make you way more money than any of your investments will. It's just the way it is. Play to win and make as much as you can, and then once you get that money, go and invest it, and invest just not to lose and hopefully to gain very consistently over time, and you should be put into so much money that you don't even know what to do with. And my next point is take some risks because you're so young that it won't put your family back on the streets if you were trying to support a wife, kids, a dog, and a roof over your head. If you lose a little bit of money, yeah, it sucks, but in the grand scheme of things, it doesn't matter too much. Just learn from it. You'll be better equipped for the next venture, and I promise you it'll go a lot better. Try whatever because you really have nothing to lose. You're 20 years old and you don't have a lot to your name. If you try something new and it doesn't necessarily succeed, well, so what? You go back to square one and that's where you started. No harm, no foul. Take some risks when you're 20 because you don't have a house to pay off and kids to feed and a wife to make happy, so you're chilling. You're also more equipped in putting in more time and late nights when you're younger because, well, you're just more energetic. You get older, you're more worn and you're not able to wake up at 5 every morning and get to bed at 2 and only run on a couple hours of sleep, which I don't necessarily recommend because I do believe sleep is very important. However, you guys kind of get the point. And this is a massive one in our society right now, and just reconsider college because a lot of people are going to college just to please their parents, or they don't really have a set destination. They're just going just because. People who want to work for themselves and create their own business might not necessarily be in the healthiest environment for their own success at college and might be better in a different environment where they can be more creative and start building. You have a really large price to pay for college, not only the tuition, the rent, the books, all that good stuff, but also the opportunity cost of missing out on 4 years of time, experience, and potential pay that you would have actually made. Most of the time in business, it's made a lot through connections and experience, and there's nothing inherently wrong about college. It's just don't go if you're not going to make the most of it. Don't go and get a worthless degree just because your parents want to that will lead you into a 9-to-5 that you'll hate, and you'll just get caught in the rat race because no one wants to live like that. No one's necessarily happy. But if you do get a degree in a field that you really like working in and you can see yourself, by all means, go and chase that and get it. I do believe that everything you need to know about starting a business and any personal finance is all for free, and you can get it basically anywhere, and you don't necessarily have to pay an arm and a leg to go to college to just get it. Through online content, books, people, and experiences, and much more, you will learn so much more than you would in a lecture hall. YouTube, Google, Reddit, those are the biggest educators in the world right now, whether you like it or not. That's just the simple fact. I've learned way more through just simple Googles, YouTube videos on things that will actually matter in life, and any of my firsthand experiences than I ever did in any classroom at any school that I ever attended. Way too many people follow the path of college, then a 9-to-5, unhappiness, financial despair, and overall they just don't really enjoy life. And what's the point of life if you can't enjoy it? This includes going against the grain, taking risks, and doing things that people normally don't do because, again, to be the top 1%, you have to do something different than the bottom 99%. And this one I think is potentially the most important and the easiest to oversee, and that is lifestyle inflation. As a simple example, let's say you're putting away $10,000 at a $40,000 a year job, and then you get a raise to $60,000. You get a new car, maybe a couple other things, you go out a little bit more, and nothing that's ever going to financially hurt you, and then you actually get another raise to $90,000. And then you compare yourself to the other people that are making $90,000, and they might have a nicer house, a little bit nicer car, dressed in a little bit fancier clothes, and well, you want that too. And they can't afford it, and it's no big deal. However, this is the most common pitfall that I see all the time. Their lifestyle continues to go up, but their savings amount doesn't. They just continuously save that $10,000 every year, even though that is significantly less amount of their income than they are making now from their $40,000 job. And remember, it's not about how much you make, it's about how much you keep. And it's not the time to spend the difference, it's the time to actually invest the difference, save and save, live the exact same lifestyle. Again, a comfortable lifestyle that's not going to necessarily be hurting you. But then in the future years, you're going to be so flush with cash, you don't even know what to do. And yeah, I understand a lot of people are like, yeah, well, I need a reward to work for. But the reward eventually will have your investments paying for your earned income so you don't have to work. So then the reward is all your freedom. And again, you can't buy any more time. And time is the most valuable thing that you have in life. So you might as well try to attack that as quickly as you can, because when your investments pay for your earned income, well, then you have infinite amount of time. So you have one life. And of course, avoid any bad debt, because bad debt will just kill you. Debt is the #1 killer of any financial life, and I think David Ramsey backs me up on this one. Buying a new car that depreciates on top of the 15% interest rate that you're actually going to be paying out the nose for doesn't make any logical or rational sense. However, there is debt in a good way where, let's say you take out a business loan, and on top of that loan, you're actually making a higher interest rate, so therefore you're pocketing 6% every single year. That's good debt. That means it's actually working in your favor, and that can be very, very powerful. Debt is just like fire. If you respect it, you tame it, it can keep you warm and cook your food. However, if you let it go out of control, well, it can burn your entire house down. Debt is the same way as fire is, and you just have to respect it and be smart about it. If you made it this far in the video, 1, thank you, and 2, you did yourself a great service, because all these can really, really help you in your own financial life. I'm a firm believer that dedicate your 20s so you can live like a king in your 30s and so on. And again, you have to live like no one else so you can live like no one else. Thank you for watching this video. Good luck in the markets, and I'll see you guys next time.